Hello, this way in Goodsell. If I decide to put this in a video. In my dreams, waking up at 4:35 a.m., I had a nuke dream. Day that shall burn as an oven dream. I was in an apartment, the very top of the apartment. And I was at my computer, which was the obsolete old one, the Windows X, I think it's called, or X7, can't remember what. Because I guess Windows X would be Windows 10. Anyway, something X with it, but it was just, anyway. And I see a nuclear blast go off from the window. And my parents and my brother, we then just go. We take a car and travel away from the area. As in that process of leaving, I saw that there was another one, or two, or three. We got to a place that was another temporary residence for us, and I had another room in an apartment with my parents. Todd disappeared from the dream. And sitting down in a lobby, a woman comes in, sits next to my mom. I guess my dad was sitting next to her on a couch. She starts saying that Trump was the president, that there were 7 men of a terrorist group that had set off the 7 nukes at the airport. So, I wanted to go back and obtain my computer. When we went back, the apartment was not stable. I went out onto the roof where our apartment was, and it separated. And so I went back to tell my parents that we cannot stay here. In the course of leaving, I saw that the building across the street from us had caught on fire with the lava. It was a lava burn. That had come from behind and was wrapping around. So clearly I did catch the number 7 twice. Oaks, you bastard.
The mandate given by the First Presidency and the presiding bishopric is to only focus on financial growth. EPA employees are told that the money will be used after the second coming of Jesus Christ or during Armageddon right before he would come again.
1. The Savior will return to the earth in power and great glory to reign personally during a millennium of righteousness and peace. 2. At the time of his coming, there will be a destruction of the wicked and a resurrection of the righteous.
One of our brethren some years ago spoke of the payment of tithing as fire insurance. Nonetheless, the word of the Lord is clear that those who do not keep the commandments and observe the laws of God shall be burned at the time of his coming. For that shall be a day of judgment, a day of sifting, a day of separating the good from the evil. I would venture a personal opinion that no event has occurred in all the history of the earth as dreadful as will be the day of the second coming, as fraught with the destructive forces of nature, as consequential for the nations of the earth, as terrible for the wicked, and as wonderful for the righteous.
Not only that, tithing will keep your name enrolled among the people of God and protect you in the day of vengeance and burning.
We do not say that all of the saints will be spared and saved from the coming day of desolation, from the atomic holocausts that surely shall be.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. It's sad Mormons reject the Word of God, deny the Spirit, and they get angry when you say that that's what they do, because then they deny it. Brigham Young is not authorized. Section 107, verse 22 was what was required to be done upon Joseph Smith's death. The church leaders themselves, with their solemn assemblies and sustaining votes, confess that they are a fraud, telling us that John Taylor started it, rather than Brigham Young. And it's not even done the right way. It's supposed to be a Melchizedek priesthood meeting for an actual vote for 3 people to be the one president. And so, Mormons therefore do not know, and are therefore not looking for, the Mormon, who is a prophet like unto Moses. Mormons don't even know that a prophet is one who predicts the future. Living prophets of Jesus say it's just a mantle title. Thus, they deny the gifts and powers of the Spirit of God. Not just by leaving out translator. So, if I put the dream at the beginning of the video, sure enough, I had a day that shall burn as an oven dream. Seven terrorists, 7 nukes at the airport. Saw the lava burning building in front of me across the street. And Trump as president. Whether I remembered to put that in, I wasn't sure after I finished it. So obviously, having been given numbers, I know better than to just assume, oh yeah, a transfer of authority, 77. That there's a date involved. So I was looking for the date. 7 days at 7 a.m., because 7 p.m. would technically be the next day in the Jewish calendar. I know better than to just assume it's going to be our Gregorian calendar. I know to check the Jewish calendar as well. Next week, Oaks' birthday, with the solar eclipse in Spain, which from Utah is 7 hours behind us. Which we should check. I tried to warn Oaks. I really did. He just doesn't want to listen. He's in power. People in power don't want to give up that power. They exercise unrighteous dominion. Come on. Oh. So it says 20 when it's the eclipse. So that's 8. So it'd be 13. Which I didn't check to see how long it would last. It's not too long for the actual core eclipse itself. a little bit longer, upwards of an hour, plus or minus, for the moon transitioning over, passing over. So, no, nothing really there. 13, yeah, I can't justify using that one. Can't force it. It has to be or it isn't. But the Perseid meteor showers are also at their peak next week. The mouth for both Leo for the eclipse and Perseus for the falling stars, the Perseids. So today with the dream, the moon is at the mouth of the sacrificial ram constellation that is wholly burned on the altar. Thus the nuke dream, the day that shall burn as an oven. I try to warn Oaks, he just doesn't want to listen. He will never confess. He will never be the bad link, the weak link. He does not want to go down in history, even though he will, as the final president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So that's the first option for dates. And I have come to learn that I can't just stick with one, that there's a likelihood of dualism or trilogy, quadrilogy, multiple fulfillments of the prophecies. So, number 2 is the 7th Jewish month, religious Jewish month, Tishri, on the 7th day, which is September 18th. And on this day, it is 7 days before the Festival of Tents, Tabernacles, Booths, Harvest, and Gathering, Sukkot in Hebrew. Passover 2.0. And this is the Jewish one, not the House of Israel one, which is the next month. Four sevens later. On this day in Jewish tradition, because it's not literal history, therefore it's a vision, a prophecy of the future with the calendar date, clock time. And this is where 13 comes in. 1313. So it doesn't have to do with Oaks' birthday next week, but for the second one. Therefore I can't justify the connection. But yeah, 13 is kind of fun. When I turned 13 years old, it became my favorite number from there on out. In Jewish tradition, this was the day when the generation of the house of Israel of the wilderness died and were denied entry into Zion, the New Jerusalem. That's you, Mormons of the Danites, here in the Salt Lake Valley of Utah, north and south. The core pioneer ancestry. So this does apply. if this is the case, that there will be the day that shall burn as an oven before the midterm elections, which we should expect it, a 9/11 event prior to. I've been trying to warn and beg and plead, and the majority just are not wanting to listen. Utter refusal, utter denial. So, it's also after the eclipses for August, which has to do with Oaks and his birthday, obviously, as I already mentioned. But if you notice the picture, it refers to Judges chapter 3 about Ehud. It's actually Ehud, not the Bach K, for Chem, son of Noah, for transliteration of the land of Egypt, which you add a T at the end for the feminine singular. Kemet, the black land. So I don't know why the Jewish authors of the Qumran community, or at least the one who wrote Genesis, assuming he wrote them all, which is not likely, but they come from different Egyptian documents. They were all combined together in Genesis. There is a greater probability that the Christian who compiled the Septuagint together 75 years after the first creed of Christianity and the Latin Vulgate put in the various documents into one book. For example, Matthew was done this way. Matthew 24 and 25 are a separate book called the Apocalypse of Matthew. In Revelation, for example, also, you have the letters to the 7 churches, and then you have the Apocalypse. The letters are separate books, so they would be the letters of John to the 7 churches, rather than the book of Revelation. So the Christian who compiled the books together, that he believed adhered to the first creed of Christianity, did some botched jobbing. Nonetheless, the whole world has been deceived. Nobody knows of the errors, because Mormons won't study their Book of Mormon, in the words of Joseph Smith, to believe them. You've rejected your founder, Mormons. You've rejected your keystone, Scripture. And you don't even know why or how. So in the story of Ehud, Judges chapter 3, starting in verse 12, the house of Israel, which are you, Mormons, are evil. This is a prophecy of the future. This did not happen in literal historyville. Christians with the first creed turned it into literal histories. Qumran community Jew wrote the book of Judges, and whether they were all separate books, as they are, by different Jews, I'd have to do a thorough research on the original to see if the linguistic pattern's the same or if there is a difference between the books. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm hoping to be able to do it in Zion, among the billions of other projects I have lined up waiting to do. Mormons don't want Zion. They all want to die. until they're about to die, and then they complain. Concept of consequences doesn't occur to Mormons. We sang it as a primary hymn. Guess it didn't stick. Nonetheless, Eglon is the king of Moab, Utah. And he persecuted the Mormons, the house of Israel. And so, city of palm trees, huh? So yeah, there's some other stuff in Hebrew that is quite fascinating. But what's connected to Oaks also is not just his birthday that is given as the dates here. He also claims to be number 18 from Joseph Smith. And here they say 18 years he ruled over Israel. He's number 18, hilarious. Try to warn him, he doesn't want to believe. And so the Lord raised up among them a prophet who is a man like Moses. Moshe, Moses in Hebrew, with the universal symbol of the sun as the suffix determinative. And it's translated into English as deliverer. And here, instead of a Levite, instead of a Danite, instead of an Ephraimite, instead of a Judite, he's a Benjaminite. A Benjamite. They leave off the N. Interesting. I have to check to see if they actually do. Yaman. So he's left-handed, which is fun in Hebrew. So he is going to give a gift to King Oaks, number 18, on his birthday. And Mormons don't believe. And so, the first part of it is he gives a message. I have a message from God unto thee. You're gonna die. That's his birthday. That's the 12th. With the Lion of Judah, as he's Ehud. Hood is for Judah. It's just instead of the Z in Paleo-Hebrew script for Judah, as you know it in English, it's an E in Judges, which is an A, where we get our A from, through the Greeks, through Latin. But in Paleo-Hebrew script, the A is not standing up. It's on its side. And it has 3 strokes, thus 3 crosses, Chi's in Greek, which is the last letter of the Paleo-Hebrew alphabet. And it's the word for sign in Paleo-Hebrew, the A and the Chi. And it's the same word that Isaiah puts for the coming of Emmanuel, which the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith correct the false translation of it by the Christian in Matthew. Instead, it's corrected as the sun god at noonday. Of the 18th dynasty of Egypt, David Moses's, founded by Moses, Yah, of the family, house of Israel, of Salem, the Ammons of Salem, Emmanuel of Salem. Their family are the 18th dynasty David Moses's. I've been doing that for you, going over it. Amenhotep's, Amen of peace, Amen of Salem. That's why King David Moses III, parting the mountains to war against the Hittites in the valley of Armageddon, in the midst of the war, went on vacation, put his foot on the Mount of Salem, because that's his family. Now I understand. Yeah. And again, doing these YouTube videos with Paleo-Hebrew and Egyptian translations for you, I have people flocking to my academia page. I told you in the videos, I am focused on trying to save your lives right now through YouTube videos. Academia is on hold. They're not finished. I need to do updates. Even the one about the full, complete works of Joseph Smith is a first draft. Say it on the document. Why? Just ask if you have questions. Nobody wants to learn. They just all want the quick and easy way out. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Like that Russian. Hurry up and finish your Paleo-Hebrew research so you can give it to me for free. Are you done with it yet? All you had to do was ask. You don't know what the Zay in Russian is? Just ask me. It's the Cairo of Constantine. See how simple that was? There's no need for extortion. I don't do that. Just ask. I'll give it to you. But you grow up in Russia, learning to extort from other people to get what you need. So you do it for others of different cultures. I'm a stupid American. We just give it to you. Unbelievable. Just ask. Nobody wants to humble themselves to say, I don't know. Obviously you don't know. I deciphered it. I'm well aware of this. So if you want to learn, just ask. Everybody seems ashamed. And they accuse me of being a know-it-all and condescending. Trying to teach you. Why are you getting offended? And so, the actual death is not until the lunar eclipse. So I don't expect Oaks to die next week, even though I've been teasing him. Mercilessly. Because, as I also noticed the pattern match with Monson, who birthday was there in Leo at the Apostolic Interregnum Star. And you most likely don't know that I'm the one that got Irene to say it at conference. Oh my God. See, the church knows. They have the Strengthening Church Members Committee that stalks all of us apostates. But you notice that I'm not allowed to have views anymore. Go to my channel, go to my video page, click on popular. Oh. This very subject the church has shut me up for. They know. They have been stalking me. And they know, even when they had it kept a secret from me for 4 years, that 2020 was a test run instead of the actual prophecy fulfillment, which it was supposed to be. So, naughty, naughty boy, Oaks. They think that they're thwarting me, and they've known better. They still are in denial after all I've done and demonstrated. The gifts and powers of the Spirit of God. The keys of Moses. I still do not want to believe. And thus Mormons, because the church won't acknowledge me, therefore vilify me, and persecute me, commit crimes against me, because of the leadership of the church and their example that they're setting for Mormons. Consequences. So, I do find it fascinating that Oakes's birthday ties with the dream. Because of the symbolism. It did suggest Utah with the church and the leadership, having both my parents in there. And my brother, who apparently disappeared after we left. Where'd you go, Todd? Where are you? And so, yes, he is the Danite representation. Todd being Fox. Just the timing of it all. The church threatened him to lose his job, be excommunicated, if he didn't fork out $2,000 for a retainer for a legal counsel to sue me, to shut me up on YouTube. On my birthday for 2023, when I just moved in here with, another dream, dualism. as I've done these videos for you already. And at the same time, Fox lost their lawsuit for suing the voting machine company or slandering them on their news. And they lost, as my brother lost. Because I couldn't believe the legal counsel didn't catch it. But now that I see the Corey Richins trial and verdict, and now the Tyler Robinson prosecution, yeah, I can see how lawyers here in Utah are stupid. And so, yes, it was a real quick response. Wait, my brother paid you $2,000 and told you that the church was threatening his job and his membership. If you don't sue me to shut me up on YouTube. Take that, John Dehlin. Oh my God. And instead, nobody knows about mine. Everybody knows about John Dehlin and how absurd it is. All the apostate world knows that the church is being petty and cruel and absurd towards John Dehlin. And I sent him the letter telling him about how the church is not really in existence. It's an illegal entity as a corporation for a non-existent religion. And if you don't know that, that's why church is keeping it a secret. Shh, don't tell. Don't tell. So yes, lots of criminal activity going on by this church, and our Utah government is co-conspirators in this. Knowingly, maybe not, since lawyers don't seem to know what a crime is. What does it take to shut down this church? My bleeping hell! Everything they do, everything they say, it's not just a sin, Pet Shop Boys. It's a crime. Oh my God. So, yeah, I really don't need to ramble on any longer than I am. Nobody really wants to listen to me anyway. That was basically it. The explanation of the dream for you. But I just amazed. As Monson died on the scripture, which was also the falling stars, but this time for Oaks, it's his birthday on the solar eclipse in Leo, but at the mouth this time, with the falling stars, also from Scripture, 1 Samuel chapter 17, for David versus Goliath, as it's at Perseus's mouth, similar to the mouth of Leo. That is just amazing, and it's not something that you can claim as a coincidence when I find it right here in Scriptures. that it is a warning on his birthday. By the guy. Hey, I'm the only one warning Oaks. Do I have the keys of Moses? Yes. Dear God. Mormons just don't want to believe. It's right there, section 103, verse 16. There he is, a Mormon. Obviously. Joseph Smith makes it very clear he's a Mormon. In the future. To save Mormons. In the future. Who are going to be in bondage to the great and abominable church of Babylon, the whore of the devil, with the inverted pentagram on the keystone of the doors of the Salt Lake Temple. How much more do you need, Mormons? How much more Captain Obvious does this need to be for you? I mean, granted, the government doesn't know what a crime is. They get educated on the law and they don't know what a crime is. The police have no clue how to investigate crime, have to put out the call, hey, if anybody knows who done it, please let us know, because we don't know and we don't have the budget for an investigation department or the forensic tools necessary. As I'm watching a movie yesterday where they do the ballistics report. I just bust up laughing over the tragic failure of the prosecution against Tyler Robinson. They're just making stuff up, and exactly, just like I told you, that liars do from the old school days that you saw with their solemn assemblies, going into graphic detail about all the process and procedures that must be done and where they got to sit in the tabernacle. This is a solemn assembly, sacred, God-chosen. Yet, no, it's all fake. Just like Thomas B. Marsh didn't get excommunicated for defending his wife's honor over milk strippings. You see, milk strippings are that part of the milk which are the creamiest, and going into graphic detail away from the fact that it's a lie. And so Tyler Robinson, diverting away from the fact that the shooter came from that way, not the Luzay building. And so the police had to manufacture. These are all fraudulent evidences against Tyler Robinson. Mountains. The tip-off that they're lying. And even the judge saw both angles of the video. And he still is letting this go through. This is a sad and pathetic thing that's going on. I can't believe the depths of ignorance and stupidity of this church. You know, I'm well aware of the dark ages of Christianity, that they want to have a millennium of dark ages. Jesus is here! We have burned the world! We're back into the dark ages. No more plumbing. Evils of science. You can't catch on with Trump doing away with all of the fields of science in government, and then, oh, we've got all these tragedies. Oh, wait, there's nobody in the government to deal with them. And now we've got Ronald McDonald K. Jr. He's on the case as record number of measles are popping up. Parasites Are you sure it wasn't from his brain? With explosive diarrhea, natural disasters, Trump refusing to fund the Antifa states, and now hacking by AI only in Antifa states. Dear God. It's coming. It's coming very quickly as they're pumping up the AI stocks. Record-breaking pumping. And when you pump, you're gonna dump. How great will be the dump? We are going to find out sometime soon, whenever they decide to stop pumping. And there'll be those days where they dump a little bit. Then they'll pump it back up the next day. So, I see it coming, guys. Why don't you? So, Jasmine. She is indicating that Generation Z, I had to look this up because I never cared when they gave us these labels. And I questioned the dating of them anyway. I'm supposedly the Generation X generation, even though many of the Generation Zs or Millennials will call me a baby boomer. That's my parents, you dumbass. You guys are the ones focused on these terminologies and you don't even know them correctly. Don't use them correctly. But 1946, which technically that's not my parents. Well, my dad barely makes it. My mom doesn't. Fascinating. So I don't know who the war generation are called. The war babies, I guess. But to 1964, and so the Generation X is 1965 to 1980. And millennials, which doesn't make any sense because you'd think that they would be the ones in 2000. The new millennium. Just saying. And so the Generation Y, where'd that go? I remember hearing Generation Y. Where'd it go? Did it become millennials? Which shouldn't have been millennials. They should have been the 2000s, which are now Generation Z. And you should have stuck it to 10 years so that it would be 1970 to 1980. And so the baby boomers are the ones right after World War II. But when you get into the 1960s, you're screwing things up because America wanted to cut back on the baby boom after World War II. And so in the 50s is when they began the push with the invention of the Mormons in Idaho of television, getting it into everybody's homes to advertise to the homemakers to only want 2.5 kids, the nuclear family, as nuclear testing was going on in America. You can sort of say into Kennedy with the Bay of Pigs and the Cuban Missile Crisis and so forth, but I don't know. They made it, so we have to stick to that, even though I would fix it. Nonetheless, because the civil rights movement should have gotten their own generation. Because technically the 70s was your X-rated movie thing till the 80s. The death of disco on October 23rd, 1981. Nonetheless, I had to find out because of Jasmine. Women of Generation X or Z are massively leaving the church than the other generations. Oh, well, no. The baby boomers, my grandparents, or my parents. There are 57 men to 43 women, where it's 54 women to 46 men for Generation Z. And it's equal for Generation X for the reverse, 55 men to 45 women. Then the millennials down to 47 to 53. So that also higher, yeah. Percentage-wise, more women are leaving, but that surpasses men with Generation Z. So now, I don't know if she talks about it, makes the connection, most likely not. No, Oaks, during this abandonment of the young women, because it's 14 years old to 29 years old, they're leaving the church. And so here Oaks, during this abandonment, lowers the age of girls to 18. Denies them going to school first, to leave home first, to keep them on a mission, to keep them in the church. I don't know if Jasmine caught on to that or not. And so, yes, it's not just his spiritual method math that he also screwed up. Because the baby boomers stopped going on missions. 26K just up and stopped going on missions. That's where he screwed up on his math, to try to cover it up with the 18-year-olds. That yes, the 18-year-old missionaries are record-breaking since 2014, when Monson lowered the ages. But they were covering up that overall there's a drop, that there's a loss of girls in the church. And so it's not just the time period, but also girls who turn 18 and have that year before 19 to go on a mission. That's when they were recognizing that they were leaving, and thus not going on a mission. So it's multiple pronged for lowering the age of girls to 18. The reason why this is important for right now, in case you're not making the connection, don't know what a crime is. This is cooking the books. As I did that video last month. Oh God. Why don't apostates catch these crimes? You know, I understand Mormons because they're in the Dark Ages. Apostates were supposed to have come out of the darkness unto the light to see what's really going on, and you don't. You just didn't like that it was affecting you. So when the church burns the bridges of LGBTQ, and you're LGBTQ, or an empathizer of LGBTQ, you leave the church. When you hear about the church having practiced polygamy, you leave the church because you don't want polygamy. I saw a woman with a t-shirt, polygamy something. I couldn't see the full word underneath it, but yeah, polygamy. I caught that one, that was obvious. And I'm thinking, what the hell? And I think she got off to go to the humanitarian center to work. Yeah, because the other woman who is Muslim also got off to go to work there too. But as apostates, you still blame Joseph for it. You're still not paying attention to Still Mormon's channel, who gets a lot of views, that he's exposed, as I have too, that Joseph Smith was not a polygamist. Never was. It was a Brighamite lie. And you get all of these Brighamites who are told to write in their journals, and they're writing lies. George Albert Smith, he's the one who wrote in his journal about Thomas B. Marsh defending his wife's honor over milk strippings. Or it was a conference talk. They lie. You're not caught on yet? You left the church because the church confessed to lying, and you leave, and then you believe them? That's the one thing I caught on from my white supremacist Christian nationalist childhood peers. They cannot tell the truth. They just won't. You call them out for their lie, and then they tell you another one and say that's now true. Just like the church. Dear God. And then others for translation, because you claim the Book of Mormon is a fraud, so you don't even treat it like a piece of literature. Let alone using the Spirit. Because you still leave the church denying the Spirit that the church taught you to deny. And so you don't understand me as an apostate. You think I'm supporting the church. As Mormons think I'm an apostate. How dare you talk about the Book of Mormon not being literal history and using the Spirit? That Oakes doesn't have authority because he denies the Spirit. I can't win with either of you. That's why I'm deeply concerned with this dream this morning. I was just bummed the whole morning going to the grocery store. Just sitting there waiting for it to open. And then the one regular guy shows up. I tried to put on a all is well in Zion face to not bring him down. Ah, dear God. Even with the Islamic Mormon and the polygamous Mormon going to work for the church. I'm still bummed in this video if you haven't noticed. Terminator, dear God, that was a massive first explosion. Just so high up in the sky. And then the others were smaller, but dear God. And so yeah, I was concerned about radiation exposure, but didn't come up as an issue. The people didn't really take it seriously. Like that Britney Spears video. I can't remember the name of it. It's where they're living underground in the apocalypse world. Maybe that should be the theme song. Rather than burning in the third degree. See? Third degree. Britney. World. End of the world, something like that. Shall find it through a search. Try to get the tune in my head, and then it ends up being the other one where Guillermo is a robot. Pouring milk on each other's bodies. What the hell? What are you doing? Brittany. So, the concern is for the fall. It is obvious that there is a gutting of this church, as this is what Jasmine is pointing out. And it's of the little girls. So proud. And so I've done this before, read over it with you, and added some more in the process of doing that video for you. The church has to fall. And there has to be a transfer of authority. Then there's the Exodus. And then building of Zion. You know, from the book of Exodus, of that Moses guy. Pattern matching. Pharaoh falls with the death of his son. The birthright blessing son to succeed him. It was a theocracy by the Jewish author. And even in literal history time. But now we have the United States of America, which is government, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is religion. And that's fascinating because both my parents were involved, which would suggest the religion and the government of America, but with Trump's voice being heard in the dream, that's different from my father. So my father now represents the leadership of the church, the government of the church, rather than Trump, or even in a dualism fashion, because Trump made an appearance separate from my dad. And so the government is involved, thus America, thus soon, under Trump's reign and ministry, for his second coming, wounded in the White House of his friends. You know, where are these people where I approved your video, or approved your comment? Yeah, I was thinking about that when his ear got shot off. Peter chopping off the ear of the guard. Jesus heals it. The healer Trump. I saw the BBC. They did a video about, no, it was Australia. 60 Minutes Australia. Why does Trump think he's the leader of the world? Something like that. One of those two news places. And I just face-palmed and went, dude, baby name meaning, Donald, world ruler. His daddy named him world ruler. Then you'd have the other conspiracies of Ingersoll's 1900 and of the last president, and then the amazing journeys of Baron Trump calling into Forbes, pretending he's John Barron. And then the scandal of the Forbes magazine with Stormy Daniels. Nobody makes these connections, I guess, anymore. It's just the underground. Nonetheless, there we are. And so this would be number 5, Mormons leave en masse. This has happened. It's not just the number of stakes that have closed down, number of wards that have closed down, number of branches that have closed down, and the church getting exposed by the new ones that are opening from Africa. With the Bednar leak that I told you about was already going on way back when they claimed conference reporting. You just don't listen to me, guys. And the leak of the stakes being shut down here in Utah. But there's others. Because Mormons leaving is not going to destroy this church. Because the church can continue to live without Mormons. They have gotten that filthy rich just from Ensign Peak Advisors alone. Not just the other sources of revenue that they have that nobody factors in. Again, nobody catches on. Why not? What's going on, guys? The church has more sources of revenue. It's not just Ensign Peak Advisors. The tithing money goes to Zion, the bank. Then 10%, as the whistleblower told us, goes to Ensign Peak Advisors. And so the $200 billion that he was talking about, $2 trillion for tithing. And he says they don't spend any of it, but the total expenditures of the church per year are about $5 to $6 billion, but not from Ensign Peak Advisors. It's through some other source. That source would depend on the source of revenue. And so tithing only goes for the priestcraft. If they were real priests instead of the frauds that they are. And so not much goes for tithing because of all the other sources of revenue specific for those particular functions. And so I'm sure, like the laundering money that he talked about with Ensign Peak Advisors, of sending money from the one source to the other source to pay for City Creek, for example. that also goes with tithing, but like he says, only 5 to 6 billion total expenditures. So what did they do with the rest of the money? Because if it's 2 trillion and it's only 5 billion, and there are 200 billion put into Ensign Peak Advisors, that's 795, 1,795 billion. Where'd that money go? Australia comes into the picture. The church has offshore bank accounts, so the money does not sit in Zion's bank. The excess goes to offshore bank accounts in non-extradition countries, as they've had to abandon Deutsche Bank, whom they also invest in the stock market for, because, again, just the other month, they got investigated for crimes. And Trump also got busted for this. Capital One canceled his account because of money laundering. Surprise, surprise, surprise. What? Trump money launders? Shocking. Does nobody know what a crime is? Hell, what is going on? And so, yes, the church doesn't need Mormons anymore. Even though Oaks is lowering the age of girls to 18, still he's trying to keep the church intact. Even though, upon the winding up and dissolution that they are planning on. Their articles of incorporation. They're going to abandon you. That's number 2. That they're going to call it quits and take the money and run. Many have left because of the financial crimes of this church, thanks to the whistleblower. But church doesn't need you. But eventually they're going to call it quits. And so the other one is that they just quit. They just abandon the church, abandon the money. They just stop. That is unlikely. But is a potential. It can be done. They won't, but it can be done. They can apologize and give everything back to the membership. It can be done. It won't. So the prophets get arrested, which, yeah, we should probably add that. We'll make that the new number 2. Prophets confess and repent. Restoring damages. Can happen, won't happen. Church prophets get arrested for their crimes. What's a crime? Should happen, won't happen. Because the whole government of Utah is in on the crime. Protecting the church. Law of sacrifice. Mormon Civil War. Book of Mormon says Mormons are going to be fighting against Mormons. Drunken with blood. on the precipice of that. I see that definitely coming for the midterm election. Because so far, the withdrawal of money funding from the government still isn't enough for Mormons to rise up against Trump or the church for letting you all die and get destroyed. Again, the Midvale apartment, over 100 people, and another apartment stepped up to take them in. Now, apparently they still have jobs and therefore we'll be paying rent through them now. But they've got a place to live now. So the church doesn't have to do anything for them anyway. God. But still, with all of the fires destroying people's lives in other places, and the food banks going without food now, blood shortage, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints under number 18, Eglon, birthday boy, is ignoring Mormons. And you'd think Mormons would be pissed, apostates would be pissed. And instead, you're doing now number 6, leaving en masse. We're out. Just like people who've left my video channel, who were following me and are no longer following me. They've left me. For some reason for which they will never tell me, like they're never telling Oaks, they're just leaving. They've left me. Specifically, the women have left me. I am trying to save you, women, and you don't want to be saved. I talk about how Alyssa Grenfell has destroyed this church from within, getting you to leave the church. And you're not following me either? You're leaving? Were you offended? Why were you offended? If you're offended, it's because you're in the wrong. You obviously don't believe the church because you were offended for believing their lie. Just because you leave the church does not mean you're now safe. And so natural disasters, diseases, viruses, parasites, yeah, also getting fulfilled. So mass leaving, natural disasters are happening. But the fall isn't going to happen this way. It's being gutted from within, but the church is still able to maintain itself because of their mass wealth. Deaths of 9. You need to know your section 107. Each quorum must have a majority in order to conduct business. And to conduct business, you have to have a majority vote. Not a majority, a unanimous vote. And so, deacons have 12, teachers have 24, priests have 48, elders have 96. So for 12, you have to have 7 deacons in order to conduct business. Southern California, we did not even have 7, let alone 12. But the bishop assigned the president of the deacons. No. deacons vote for who their president will be. And they have to have at least 7 in order to conduct business to unanimously vote for the president. So, 9 for the 12 apostles, because the first presidency have changed it so that the counselors are also members of the 12 apostles, who go back into the 12 apostles upon the death of the president. They think they're being tricky to avoid this, raising up the number. So that's why I was picking on Oakes for not becoming the president of the church, because that put on hold the replacement for the quorum of the 12 member. And then, finally, 17 days late, and so he puts Cossé in, and then Holland dies. And then he does his BYU talk, and I say that he's going to put Gilbert in. And he did. And so this is the Moses story with Pharaoh and his firstborn dying. This is how that would play out. That Oakes, along with 9 others, or 8 others, for a total of 9, are dead. And so even if Irene is one of the remaining 6, they don't have enough to have a majority to conduct business, to have a unanimous vote for him to become the successor. Even though he's the quorum of the president of the 12, they have to have a majority to conduct business. And thus sabotaged, because Brigham Young created a whole new system for replacement. Rather than verse 22. So yes, you'll probably notice in the 70s, Wikipedia, that there was a change made in 2018 when a certain person sent a letter to the presidency of the 70. Placed in his troublemaker file 36434. I think that video is on this channel. Yep. In which they are trying to claim that hypothetically, if the quorum of the 12 were not able to do their job, the 70 would then step up. Nope. So yes, again, I have had an impact on this church and the changes they've been hinge pointing. And then, government deportation purge. Trump has left MAGA states alone. And, ooh, I don't have that one. Ooh, we've got to do an American Civil War. Ooh. American Civil War. World War, maybe even also. World War III. Yeah. Yep. These are also prophesied to occur. So When Trump took over in 2.0, or Second Coming, he was doing deportations. Started with shutting down the border, sending all our troops there, and then was going to Antifa cities and helping out with MAGA states that requested his help. And you could follow where he was going next. And then they did a repeat of Minnesota, the shooting, and they have gone to shoot more people in Minnesota this time around. One of them an apostate Mormon girl, Mormon wife, mother, partner. And so this deportation purge, Trump expected MAGA states to purge themselves, so that only if they needed extra assistance, Trump would send in ICE to help them out. So you saw that eventually last year, later on. It was done in secret, but it got exposed, where certain departments here in Utah were making covenant oaths and death penalty punishments for working with ICE. But overall, the numbers are just not happening as they should be if we were really to be a MAGA state following Trump's directive. We have got Haitians, we have got Islamists, we have got blacks, we've got women, we've got LGBTQ, we've got Antifa, we've got poor, homeless, we've got illegals, we've got asylum, terrorists, we've got the gangs, and yet Utah is not purging them from the state. So when ICE goes rogue and does a token arrest, Governor Cox panics and steps in and says, "No, you can't do that, they're Mormon." Yeah, Governor Cox is preventing what needs to be done for the deportation. But that's also in prophecy, section 101's parable by Joseph Smith, which he expands upon in July 1840, which Brigham Young was pissed and refused to publish. And when quoting it, didn't quote it correctly. And so now we have the myth of the Constitution hanging by a thread rather than the brink of ruin, because of him furious with Joseph Smith over that prophecy. And so yes, there's supposed to be a deportation. Cox was supposed to round everybody up and get them out. All of you anti-Mormons, all of us apostates, were supposed to be deported. And so instead of doing it, they just did the token thing, you know, the woman at the airport and the girl, and then the violinist, cellist, whatever he was, and other token people who have made the news, but not on the mass scales as in Antifa states, Antifa cities. Salt Lake City is an Antifa city. Utah is now an Antifa state. This is where Governor Cox is going to get exposed by the midterm elections if the 9/11 event doesn't happen in Utah first. So I don't know if it's going to be literal or if it was just prophetic. I know the prophets have threatened nuclear destruction. George Albert Smith saying there was supposed to have been a nuclear attack after the presidential election before he's put into office January 20th. That did not happen in both events, the test run year and the second coming year. So whether it's going to be this midterm time around, I don't know. I had the dream. The day that shall burn as an oven. Using nuclear blasts as the symbolism of it for 7. Transfer of authority number. 7 and 7. So, with Cox's failure to deport Mormons, and instead got rid of the justice who turned Utah blue and put in 3 new guys, one of them a church lawyer, they're still not getting it. The map is still going forward. There are mass numbers leaving the church who are of voting age, and they're going blue commie. Yeah, blue is the new commie color, I guess. MAGA is the old commie color. Guys, stop. And so, if all things being normal, no interference by AI and voting machines, Utah votes blue for Congress. Trump will be made aware of this. And the betrayal of Utah. It'll be all over the news from sea to shining sea. Even world news. Utah turned blue. Trump will see that as a betrayal and then come and send in ICE or an American Civil War for everybody who betrayed him. And thus fulfillment of that prophecy that way. Then court losses. Yeah, John Dehlin. The church is going to make sure it gets dragged out as long as possible, and the judge is going to let it drag on. So that, no time soon, nothing seems to indicate any such thing. But if people recognize what a crime is, and sue civilly rather than the prophets getting arrested for criminal violations, then yes, the mass numbers of civil lawsuits against the church for all different kinds of crimes, so that class action may be involved for some of them, but not for all of them. There's nothing indicating such would be the case. John Dehlin is really the only one who's countersuing that I know of. The We the People Utah, they were more of ignoring the church's threats. The other Mormon kid who was sued by the church, he's treating it lightly because he doesn't see himself as having done anything wrong. He's a faithful Mormon. Why is the church suing him? This seems absurd. And then, so yeah, the pressure of mass numbers of people causes the church leaders to make changes. they deceive you into thinking they're fixing the problem when what they're actually doing is making the problem worse, and you don't see it until it's too late. Right women, LGBTQ, blacks, etc. There's a new fad from TikTok about telling kids to get in groups and do takeovers, as they're being called, I guess, where it's similar to a flash mob, but the flash mob is escalating to violence. We just saw a massive takeover from the Moroccan Islamists into Spain. That's how it was started. They got information about lying that they needed to rush the border of Spain to get in. And people died, people suffered, Spain panicked, and are now creating a wall to keep them out in the future as they're going back to Morocco, all because of the misinformation they were given. The previous caravans from south of the border would be lied to. You go to America and you'll be given freedoms and liberties and lots of money. And so they make the trek. Fox News panics. Caravan! It's coming! Crisis at the border! All because they got lied to. So yes, we are seeing social media, the internet is able to lie to people and people believe it. And they're committing crimes, committing harm, not just to themselves, but to others. And so yes, these teen takeovers are the new fad. And then financial theft. Well, AI's going rogue now. The church loses all their money from all their accounts. Would be, oh crap. We've tanked this church, gutted it from the inside. Now we don't have the money. There's no coming back from that. They have already destroyed this church. They can't rebuild. Come back. We're having a discount sale on tithing. Only 5% of your perpetual income. Baby, come back. You can blame it all on me. I was wrong. Not gonna happen. They'd have to quit. They got punked. And then prophets relocate, where they abandon Temple Square as the headquarters of the church and take off to Africa, the Congo, set up the church there, contract Ebola virus and die. Or go to Nigeria, get shot and die. Oh my God. So this is what we're waiting for. And it has to happen soon. What is going on in the bigger picture is escalating. And I know Trump does the thing. This is different. This is bigger picture than just Trump. Because, yeah, Trump says he's going to threaten, and then he backs off. And stock market pumps and dumps minimally for what he does there with that. That's what he's doing it for. But this is an AI pumping. We've been warned about AI. And you're not listening, and everybody doesn't understand, and the connection to data centers, and the buffering, and the murders of ChatGPT, and the plane collisions, and the hacking, and connecting it to nuclear power plants, nuclear missile silos. Dum 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 dum. Until this happens, I won't know the manner in which the transfer of authority will be. Because each one of those will result in a different manner of transferring authority. And to transfer it to me, it seems impossible. Because the church refuses to acknowledge me. They've shut me up and silenced me for this very reason. They ain't gonna do this. They have to be forced to do it. Whether it's physically forced or scared to death forced. Because so far, they're not scared to death yet. Despite all I've done so far with the gift and power of the Spirit of God, they still are not afraid. They are afraid of me, but they just refuse. They're defiant. And so I don't see how it will be done freely and willingly. They don't want to admit it. But yeah, I don't know. I can see them attempting to do a transfer of money secretly to their families, and then say, "Oh yeah, well, here you go, Travis. $1,000? Come on. That's all we got after all the expenditures. Come on." There have been big corporations that get busted and do that tactic. They declare bankruptcy, but all the money got transferred to the family. So that they screw over the victims. And the church has been screwing over victims. If you've paid attention to the Boy Scouts, the rapes, where the church settles and then resists paying off the money. They abandoned the Boy Scouts, refused to want to pay. And then the church, for the insurance payout for a rape case, they tried to sue the insurance company to get that money back. They lost. So, yeah, I don't know. I am aware of my 9/11/2024 dream that morning before the physical fulfillment, Oaks or Nelson. About Irene transferring authority to me. Irene is the one that's gone missing this whole time. D. Todd, he's been making occasional appearances. He did yesterday in the news. Sort of. And Oaks, because I pick on him for going missing, we need proof of life. There he is, sort of. Oh, new mission presidents. Spiritual method math. Good job, Oaks. Good job. Yeah. So, something is up with July 1st that resulted in them having to do some changing during that month. Something else is going on that they don't want us to know about for the gutting of the church from the inside. Oaks is near death. Irene is near death. They're the ones both in the wheelchairs, and that goes back to my 1986 dream, which I thought was for the first wife, and then it also ended up being for the second wife. And then it also can apply to you for not wanting to go to Zion. And my parents, who were the ones in wheelchairs. And here, Oaks and Irene are the two in wheelchairs, now that Holland is dead. And so Irene's the one that's gone missing. He's the one that's supposed to transfer, according to the dream. And Oaks definitely is not wanting to do it. So, if this coming curse of Joseph Smith for Oaks happens, and happens on the day that I had recognized, that I told you about, that will be a clear indicator that they shouldn't be messing with me any further, because there's somebody out there who's very pissed with you. Because not only that, but the curse of Emmanuel for everybody guilty of what they did to me in 2008. So, yeah, and then the Exodus. Without a transfer, we can't have an Exodus. What you're seeing of people leaving, they're not involved in an Exodus. So the video last night for the church news was specifically to help people understand that when the church falls, Mormons will do their own thing. They'll go rogue. And there will be those who will create their own Zions where they are. And there will be those who will go to Independence, Missouri and occupy the Stake Center, build Zion there. You didn't read 19 July 1840 to know that's not the location. Neither did you pay attention to Heber C. Kimball, A Test, or John Taylor's dream recorded by Wilford Woodruff's journal, where no, there will be no Zion. He ends with you to force an interpretation that there will be a Zion in Adam-on-Diamond. But you have to impose it in there. You're not getting what he was talking about through Wilford Woodruff. And so, yep, he was trying to be, well, it was in his journal. But Brigham Young did say to lie in your journals to show how true the church is. That's why the women all said Joseph Smith raped them and married them, whether they claim they had a baby from him or not. None of it happened. They were under the penalty of death if they did not do it. Some did it willingly, others begrudgingly. Gotta do your research. Don't just leave because you assume things. You know the church lied. So, you notice how I'm not being cyber terrorized on the camera? I do. It also indicates that 11 to 5:30 is the shift this week also. Because the journal vlogs that I did were during that time period, and that's when the camera would be freezing this week. Which also suggests it's the Mormon YouTube employee who's doing the cyber terrorism on my device. That would be very interesting. But there's also Microsoft attacks as well as Google attacks. Document all of these and go over the documentation to look for patterns. Which I do have a lot of documentation when things happen, so it's just a matter of going over it. Like I said, I see that his schedule this week is the 11 to 5:30 hour. Or she. Anyway. So yeah, I do have a list of requirements for the transfer from their 2019 Articles of Incorporation. That Oaks is supposed to transfer it directly to me. And obviously he's refusing. And so Irene, that would explain, as the incumbent to make the transfer. And as the incumbent, it doesn't say he has to get permission from the 12. In case the Strengthening Church Members Committee, who is listening to this part of the video, you need to take the note on this. The 2019 says that the president of the church makes the decision to transfer authority to me in accordance with the revelations of section 107. He doesn't need the apostles' permission. That's what it says. The incumbent, the president, he makes the transfer decision without anybody's permission. Thus, the corporate board has no say in it. That is unique. Because typically, the corporate board can remove the CEO. And it's just a majority vote, not unanimous. But they put in according to the revelations. And so, nope, just him as the first president. Not even the counselors. So, I do find it fascinating. So I covered everything, right? And sign in the heavens for today, and coming sevens possible, and then some other stuff from the news. Alright. Yeah. So yeah, I again saw the John DeLane commercial yesterday doing the news check. And infallibility. He's still not listening to me. It's authority. They're letting Mormons believe they're infallible, that Jesus speaks to them when they confess that it's through their brain, that Jesus isn't physically real and will never physically appear to anybody. Everybody misses that, except for the apostates who did the memes of it. As Mormons remain stupid on the matter. As I've got the conference videos that I did several times in there, they indicated that God speaks to our brain, and because they claim that they are legally authorized from Joseph Smith, that therefore they are receiving direct communications from Jesus. But they're not authorized. Brigham Young didn't do it right. Verse 22 was a violation. But also Jesus, not real. Joseph Smith says Jesus, and the name Jesus from the first creed of Christianity is all wrong, all abominable, all corrupt. No Jesus. That's why Jesus was not put in the name of his church. And until you realize the original document, Willard Richards wrote in Jesus, and that's why we have Jesus in our publication. He will live in denial, refuse to get it. But also I do see that it's backfiring with Jasmine, with the girls. As I mentioned yesterday when I brought it up, put it in the video, is that the girls are no longer interested in the church as teenagers, but they want to get the hell out of Utah. They want to be able to say they've seen the world. And so they go on their missions. And then when they come back, that's when, yeah, I'm out. I'm out of the church. Because now they're at school, and it'd have to be something other than a church school, because they have to be faithful to the church, going to church, paying tithing in order to go to the BYUs. And so they'd have to go to another school like the University of Utah or one of the others that are not a church sponsored anymore or church promoted anymore, so that you don't have to be a part of a religion to go. And that's when they would be leaving. When your daughter decides she wants to go to the University of Utah rather than BYU, you know your daughter is an apostate. You need to lock her in a room, not let her go. Until she confesses that Jesus is the true Mormon Christ. Oh my hell, or you put her into a psycho asylum for Paris Hilton to demand she be freed. God. Just the evil of Cook. Dear God. Still pushing psychology. Just pure evil. So that's the thing, is that they will never give it up. They are that evil. They will never confess. They will never admit wrong. They will never repent, say they're sorry, make restitution. Because what they did to me can never be restored. And all I'm asking is that they give me what my birthright and blessing is. This church is mine, and I want to save your lives. But I'm deeply concerned from the dream. Because I was hoping there was going to be more Mormons here in the valley that were going to be worthy to go. Second one. It happens, but it's coming. Again, confirmation. And that's the difference between Nelson leading up to his death with the dreams I had versus this year with Oaks. There are different types of dreams, and these dreams this year are about the end, ending it. the final 4 dreams and everything that comes with it. And so yeah, the Lydia was the previous one, and here is now the day that shall burn as an oven dream. Alrighty. Yeah.